On here, Coach. How we doing today?
Oh, all right. How you guys doing?
Not bad, not bad.
It's
I guess
dry, so we're doing good.
Don't
let's
do that very often in the spring.
let's start there too, and just talk to me about how this season has been as like a sort of mid-season recap. How you guys have been able to get games in despite dodging some rain too, and how that whole front has been too, and just give us a little mid-season recap on what the team's been expectation to reality so far.
Yeah, well, with the field situation, I mean, it is what it is with everybody in the same boat. But we were pretty lucky. We got 11 games in actually. One is still in extra innings, and we're tied, so that game is still going on. So we got 11 games in. A lot of teams have not gotten that in. We've also got 5 or 6 JV games in. So we've actually been able to play a lot. Our field has held up pretty well in the with everything, and we got guys that work on it pretty hard, and assistant coaches and maintenance people, and so we've been working on it and trying to get it ready. And we've played in some, wet conditions, but almost all teams have, that came here and looked at it that it was wet, and they said, you know what, let's just give it a shot. Not all, but pretty much almost all. So we have a lot of teams that would suck it up and played in some wet conditions, and we got to play some games. So I'm happy for that.
Coach, I think one of the highlights of your season so far has been the pitching from Caden Spade. Talk about what you've seen from him on the mound, and I believe already a no-hitter, if I'm not mistaken, to his credit this year.
His first outing, he no-hit Liberty. He's a kid that is very talented as a freshman. Actually, his first game that he's ever pitched for me, his freshman year, was our second game of the year, was against his old school, Wyndham, and he threw a no-hitter in his first pitch ever, first game ever that he pitched for me. So, he's great on the mound when he's locked in and ready to go. There's always he's still a high school kid, so there's always those ups and downs with him. But when he's locked in and ready to go, he could get us a win any day, and that's what we look for in people. He's efficient enough, he throws strikes enough, and he's always been like that. So as long as he's locked in and ready to go, I mean, he gives us a very good chance to win, and he's been doing great. He's been striking out a lot of people. He's been dealing with some of the adversity well this year. I mean, he had a home run hit against them, and sometimes it really makes pitchers mad when that happens, especially because it doesn't happen very much in high school. And he went past it and just kept pitching and did really well the rest of that game. And he's been pretty good. As long as he's on his game and he's there mentally in and all that kind of stuff, then he could get us a win on any day.
We need to talk about this dynamic of him playing for or being with Wyndham though prior to, because if I know anything about like Garfield and Wyndham, that rivalry is the real deal too. So talk to me. Is there any jest that's given to him by other players or by you maybe for having those Wyndham ties before being here and being a G-man?
Oh, when he came over, there was some stuff, said and stuff like that. And when we played, he plays basketball. So when they played each other, some of his best friends still to this day are on Wyndham's team. So I don't know if it's animosity and all that kind of stuff, but it's just, I don't know. We do, there's always stones busting and things like that. But we don't really drive that home. I know his freshman year, he kind of maybe got it a little bit, but it's kind of gone out the window since then.
Talking about, stone busting and all that, heckling is kind of a baseball pastime, whether it be heckling with your team or heckling the other team and keeping it within the lines, of course. What's your team's personality like in the dugout? I mean, I know we kind of talked about it in the preseason preview, but what are some of the funnest things that you've seen from your guys this year?
Well, again, it's crazy. It just depends on the day, to be honest with you. And that's maybe the most frustrating thing this season, because there's days where we can have the most fun in the world and probably compete against anybody. And then there's days where we're not having fun and we're not doing very much competing. So, we've kind of hit an up and down road, and I don't know if it's the weather and the not practicing outside and all that kind of stuff. It's all a factor into it. But, there's a lot of kids, like I said in the preview, that like to have fun. But we want to win too. And that's when you're having the most fun, is when you're winning. But, here's just an example. Our bus gets stuck yesterday down in Crestview. We don't even get to play a game. We barely got off the bus. We had to get off the bus because our bus got stuck at the softball complex, and then it rained and it got canceled. But when it stops raining, our kids get off the bus and are playing catch and doing little drills and like things like that, and just having fun with each other, doing soft toss things and, hitting the ball. I don't know. There's days where, it's very, most of the time it's very great to be around these kids because they like to have fun and that kind of stuff. But, there's always those ups and downs and there isn't great days all the time, but they just really like to have fun, really like to be out there. And when we're on that, when we're on and we're locked in and we're having fun, then, there's no place I'd rather be.
Give me a mid-season preview from a coach's perspective of the conference that you guys play in now, joining this MVAC Gray side too. What has the experience been like from you as a coach?
It's competitive league. I mean, we knew that going in, and PTC is a heck of a league too, so we went from one really tough league to another tough league. And we know that there's good teams in both, and the PTC, they're still doing good things. And the MVAC now, there's a lot of tough teams. There's good hitting teams. There's good pitching. We played champion and we did not have our best week that week. And they showed us that, you better be on your game when we play them. And we didn't do that. We were supposed to play Crestview yesterday. We did not get a chance to play them, but they're undefeated. We were in a tie, one game with LeBray in the 10th inning, 1-1. That was just a heck of a baseball game where people were just making plays. So there's a lot of good teams in this league. And, and every day it seems like, they're giving us our best. You know what I mean? Like, that's just every time we come there, it seems like you're the new kid on the block. We're going to give you your best, which is how it should be. And you should play your best. And, but it's very tough. And the PTC was tough and coming right in the MVAC is tough as well.
Coach, every team is trying to dodge rain in the Northeast Ohio. It's not just you. It's not like there's a cloud over Garfield. So the successful teams are going to be the ones that handle the ups and downs and the playing and not playing the best. What have you been doing to kind of keep this team sharp during the waiting out rain and the start and stops of games and things like that?
Gosh, I wish there was like some kind of method that would keep them focused for everything. But again, you're talking about kids anywhere from 14 to 18 years old. And we've, like I said yesterday, we got on a bus to drive an hour to Crestview. We don't even play a game, have to sit there for 2.5 hours. And before we drive back, and we barely got off the bus, and they were fun. They had they had their jukebox or whatever, and they were having a good time and singing songs and doing drills out in the rain. I mean, I don't know. I don't have, if somebody else has one, I would love to hear it. But, we try to do as much practicing as we can. I know it's hard in the gym. I mean, coaches don't like practicing in the gym and players hate practicing in the gym. And, you do all these little T drills and all these little soft toss drills and all these little cage drills. And you try to get some live, pitching in the cage and you try to do everything and make it as good as you can. But it just ultimately comes out to they just want to be outside and they want to practice outside and they want to play games and things like that. But the key to that is, I don't know, just making sure as much as you can is you're focused on the minute that you're in. I mean, you're focused on the minute. Are you getting better at every station, at the hitting stations? Are you getting better when you're warming up, throwing the ball? Is your arm going to be ready? You know what I mean? And really just taking it minute by minute. I mean, session by session and day by day is really all you can do in this situation.
A quick follow-up, because we know that pitchers are so routine-oriented and they want to have their starting routine and know they're going to start that day and be able to get in a routine. I'm sure it's been hard to get in routines this year. How have you seen your pitchers in particular handle this kind of adversity that this stop and start has put you in?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, as a team-wise, we honestly haven't even had our full team yet, to be honest with you. So trying to get camaraderie there in that regard is kind of tough. Like, we've had kids miss for certain reasons and certain injuries and things like that. And honestly, we have not played a game with all of our guys yet. But with pitching too, I mean, it's tough because, I've heard more sore arms this year than any year I've ever coached. And I have, pitched less innings and less pitches than any year I have ever coached. Because of that, start again, stop again. Are we playing? Are we not? Here's a practice there. You know what I mean? And it's the pitchers, some of them have been consistently pretty good, but then we've had outings where it's been up and down and we couldn't throw a strike. So it's been a struggle, but trying to keep bullpens, when we practice, or whatever, and you try to go, okay, this is the day you would play. This is the day you would pitch. But the thing with high school, sometimes that guy's going to pitch the next day or Wednesday. You can't just skip his pitching outing. So, just getting them bullpens, 2 days before, 1 day before, and then afterwards and in between, and make sure you do recovery on your arm, things like that, because, everyone wants to pitch. And we have a couple seniors. We have 3 or 4 seniors or 3 seniors that pitch, 4 seniors that pitch, and they, and start on a mound and stuff like that. We have one that comes off the bench. So, we want the seniors want to pitch. And then we have some underclassmen too that want to get some time in. So it's really been a struggle, honestly, to try to juggle that and making sure this guy's arm's good, ready to go, and all that kind of stuff. So that's been a struggle for us as well this year.
At least getting enough pitchers, though, and having a lot of guys wanting to participate is a good problem to have. Coach, with this half of a season pretty much to digest for you guys now, and you guys have seen what you've had. You've rode the highs, you've rode the lows of the season. What are some goals you have now for the second half of the season just prior to tournament time?
Well, I just think that the league is so good that, there could be some upsets or surprises. I mean, Newton Falls beat Champion and we beat Newton Falls, but then, and Camel beat Brookfield and Brookfield went tough with Champion for a little bit until the 7th inning. And, all these teams are right there, it seems like, in this league. So I don't think like there's anyone that's, that ran away with it yet. So I think if we can do what we can and win as many league games as we can, and, the goal is to win out our league games. I mean, that is what it is. And it starts with an undefeated Crestview today. I mean, that's a big starting point, but it's got to be done. And that would be the goal, is to win out our conference games before tournament starts. We have that week in between when our conference is done, and then we have a week of, non-conference games to get ready for the tournament. So I guess our big goal would be win out conference games, and it's going to be a tough challenge. But, if we come focused every day and we throw a lot of strikes and field some ground balls, then we'll be all right. We also got to hit a little bit. I mean, our hitting's been struggling a little bit, but, our goal is to win out the league games, and that's the first thing that we're going to focus on. But we got to win the day. So the number one goal is win the day, and that's, cliche and all that kind of stuff. But we have to win the day before we can get to tomorrow. So that's our goal.
Follow-up question real quick for you, Coach. You talk about this undefeated Crestview team. No doubt it's going to be a great team. Without giving away too much of the book, what are going to be some of the keys to the victory tonight to start that winning streak against the conference?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're just tough. And, their coach, he gets interviewed and all that kind of stuff too. And he always says that we're not a powerhouse team and we small ball you to death and we want to be aggressive and all that kind of stuff. And it's really a lot of points that I try to make. So when you're looking at this Crestview team, you're looking at a team that really has had it together all year. They haven't had a down game yet. And we've lived ups and downs. So, but we really have a lot of the same messages, being aggressive as you can and stealing bases when you can and trying to get second as much as possible, and if you're not going to hit, we're not going to hit big bombs or anything like that. So to play small balls, make sure you move the guys over and things like that. So it's the little aspects of the game that they do really well. And their pitchers have been consistent, very consistent this year. So they've been doing a lot of good things, and it's going to be a tough challenge. So, they're pretty darn good. So we'll have our hands full.
Coach, before we let you go, I'm interested to know what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself and your team during this season, and especially during all the rain that we've had in this April.
Oh, man. It's my 14th year coaching. It's my 8th year, I think, coaching as a head coach. This is probably the wettest it's been. And it's probably been, one of the most frustrating ones. And it's not just because of the record or anything like that. It's because of the spring and the wetness. And I guess it is, trying to keep the camaraderie together and is challenging. I think that's what I've learned. I mean, all these cancellations, having a lot of seniors, there's a lot of these guys that were focusing on playing football at the next level and going to college and all this kind of stuff, and trying to keep, I guess, that together, all of them together and stuff like that, while the weather has been so bad and we haven't been able to play as many games as we want. I think that's always the most challenging. I mean, what have I learned, I guess, the most about this is every year it's just totally different. I mean, there's ups and downs in every year, but the ups and downs are every different. So just being able to, roll with the punches as often as you can, and things like that is probably the biggest thing that, you can take away. It's just, you never know what it's going to be. One year it might be really dry, but you might have a lot of other things going on with the team. And this year it could be just really wet and you're not playing games, and you really need to, just to keep everyone focused on the goal. So really it's just those, learning year by year of what you can do to keep everyone focused is what I've learned, honestly.
Coach, thank you so much for the time today and taking time to give us kind of a mid-season preview. We thank you for your time. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the year, and we know that we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.